Loneliness doesn't just affect emotions, it changes the way people think, behave, trust, and connect with others. When someone feels deeply lonely for a long time, the brain often pushes them into unhealthy patterns without them even realizing it. They may become emotionally attached too quickly, tolerate toxic behavior, isolate themselves further, or seek validation in dangerous ways. In this video, you'll discover the 5 biggest psychological mistakes lonely people often make, why loneliness changes human behavior so powerfully, and how emotional isolation can quietly affect relationships, self-worth, and mental health. Today, we will talk about why lonely people make these 5 mistakes. So, before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. Loneliness changes the human mind more than people realize. Loneliness is not simply the absence of people. It is a deep psychological and emotional state that affects how the brain thinks, reacts, trusts, and connects with others. Human beings are naturally wired for emotional connection because relationships play a major role in mental stability, emotional regulation, and psychological well-being. When someone feels lonely for long periods, the brain slowly begins shifting into survival mode emotionally. Thoughts become more negative, insecurities become stronger, and emotional sensitivity increases. Loneliness can affect confidence, decision-making, self-worth, and even physical health. The dangerous part is that lonely individuals often begin making emotional mistakes without realizing loneliness itself is influencing their behavior. These mistakes usually come from desperation for connection, fear of rejection, or emotional exhaustion rather than weakness or lack of intelligence. 2. Mistake, #1. Becoming emotionally attached too quickly. One of the most common mistakes lonely people make is becoming emotionally attached far too quickly. When someone has been emotionally deprived for a long time, even small amounts of attention, kindness, affection, or validation can feel incredibly powerful. The brain becomes emotionally hungry for connection, causing the person to idealize others rapidly. A simple conversation, compliment, or act of care may suddenly feel emotionally overwhelming because the mind is desperately searching for closeness and belonging. This often leads people to trust too fast, ignore red flags, or emotionally invest in unhealthy relationships before truly knowing the other person. Loneliness intensifies emotional attachment because the brain fears losing connection once it finally appears. Unfortunately, this emotional urgency can attract manipulative or emotionally unavailable people who recognize vulnerability easily. 3. Mistake, #2. Tolerating toxic behavior to avoid being alone. Many lonely individuals remain in unhealthy friendships, relationships, or social situations simply because they fear loneliness more than mistreatment. Emotional isolation can make people tolerate disrespect, manipulation, emotional neglect, dishonesty, or even abuse, because losing the relationship feels psychologically unbearable. The brain begins believing that toxic connection is still better than complete emotional emptiness. Over time, this weakens self-worth because the person starts accepting behavior they would normally reject. Fear of abandonment becomes stronger than personal boundaries. This creates emotionally damaging patterns where lonely individuals continuously sacrifice their mental health just to maintain some form of connection. The longer someone feels emotionally isolated, the easier it becomes to confuse attention with genuine care and attachment with healthy love. 4. Mistake, #3. Isolating themselves even more. Ironically, loneliness often causes people to isolate themselves further. Many lonely individuals begin avoiding social situations because rejection, awkwardness, disappointment, or emotional vulnerability feels too painful. The brain starts treating social interaction as emotionally risky. As a result, people withdraw, overthink conversations, stop reaching out, or convince themselves others do not care about them. Unfortunately, this avoidance strengthens loneliness over time. The less social interaction someone experiences, the more socially anxious and disconnected they may become. Isolation then creates a dangerous emotional cycle where loneliness increases negative thinking, and negative thinking increases isolation further. The brain begins seeing loneliness as permanent even when opportunities for connection still exist. 5. Mistake, #4. Seeking validation from the wrong places. Lonely people often become highly vulnerable to unhealthy validation-seeking behavior. Because emotional connection feels missing internally, they may begin depending heavily on external attention to feel worthy, attractive, important, or valued. Social media likes, constant texting, romantic attention, or approval from others may temporarily fill emotional emptiness. However, This creates emotional dependency, because self-worth becomes tied to outside validation rather than inner emotional stability. Some individuals enter unhealthy relationships simply to avoid feeling unwanted or invisible. Others constantly seek reassurance because loneliness has damaged their confidence deeply. The problem is that external validation provides only temporary emotional relief, while the deeper loneliness remains unresolved underneath. 6. Mistake #5 believing something is wrong with them. Perhaps the most damaging mistake lonely people make is internalizing loneliness as proof that they are unlovable, unwanted, boring, broken, or emotionally inadequate. Over time, repeated loneliness can slowly damage identity and self-esteem. The brain begins searching for personal flaws to explain emotional isolation. Negative self-talk increases, confidence weakens, and hopelessness grows stronger psychologically. Many lonely individuals stop believing healthy relationships are possible for them at all. This mindset becomes dangerous because beliefs strongly influence behavior. When people believe rejection is inevitable, they may unconsciously avoid opportunities for genuine connection, sabotage relationships, or emotionally close themselves off completely. 7. Loneliness affects the brain like physical pain. Psychology and neuroscience show that loneliness activates some of the same brain regions associated with physical pain. Emotional disconnection genuinely hurts the nervous system, because human beings are biologically designed for social attachment. Chronic loneliness increases stress hormones, emotional sensitivity, anxiety, depression, and even physical health risks over time. The brain becomes hyper-alert to rejection and social threats, causing lonely individuals to misinterpret neutral situations negatively sometimes. Small signs of distance or disinterest may feel emotionally devastating because the nervous system is already emotionally exhausted. This explains why loneliness can completely change behavior, emotional reactions, and relationship patterns so strongly. 8. Healing loneliness requires real connection, not just attention. The solution to loneliness is not simply surrounding yourself with people constantly. Someone can feel lonely even in crowded rooms or relationships if emotional connection is missing. Real healing begins through meaningful connection, emotional honesty, self-worth, healthy boundaries, and genuine belonging. Lonely individuals often need to rebuild trust in themselves and others slowly. Learning to enjoy solitude without emotional emptiness is also important because emotional stability cannot depend entirely on outside validation. Human beings naturally need connection, but healthy relationships begin when someone no longer accepts toxic treatment simply to avoid being alone. In the end, loneliness changes behavior because the human brain is deeply wired for attachment, belonging, and emotional closeness. Understanding these psychological patterns helps people break unhealthy cycles and build healthier emotional connections without losing themselves in the process. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.